What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Celtic Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
And we're back. We are back. Thank you, everybody who went and took a quick drink break. You got to get your refills. You got to get your snacks. You got to use the restroom. You got to do what you got to do. But we're back. Just to reiterate one last time as we move forward to NXT. Huge congrats to Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa! Spinner Fox's breaking news, Thunder Rosa to relinquish the title. I'm going to need a source on that. If that is true, fuck that. But if it's not true, the Warrior Wrestling title. Ooh. Oh. That's actually crazy.
Interesting news.
That's
interesting.
That's actually very fascinating because why would she need to relinquish the Warrior Wrestling title? Except for they don't want their world champion to look weak, or they may not want some of their talent going to the other promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bummer. Because at the same time, could you lose the Warrior Wrestling title and still look strong? And I think the answer is yes. But
depends on who you're wrestling.
That's true. That's true. Huh. I mean, it's a bummer. It's a bummer because you know what? I'd give Thunder Rosa all the titles and leave them on her. Thunder Rosa, actually, is my pick to beat Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Is
that third of his height?
Oh, the same like they did for Omega and AAA. Yeah, I guess I could see that if they're trying to protect their people, but I don't know. It's a bummer.
Whatever.
But yeah, so congratulations, Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, champion of us, and now the champion for AEW fans as well. So not all bad.
Thank you.
But yeah, fantastic moment. I love the clip of the confetti falling and her crying over the title and the amount of her family and Mission Pro Wrestling folks who were there in attendance. Just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. So
Dustin coming to the ring.
I was torn on that. I didn't know if I needed Dustin Rhodes out there at that moment. If I'm honest.
It was a nice little moment. Well, Congan wasn't out there, right? He didn't come out.
No, it was just Dustin, and I just think that so much of what Thunder Rosa has done on her own.
Maybe he was the representative for backstage because Conman.
But that's what I didn't need about it.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like that was my problem with it. Is he came out and I felt like it reminded me of when Ultimate Warrior, or was it Macho Man? I believe it was Macho Man when he won the title off of someone else, and Hogan came out to shake his hand, and Hogan wasn't even on the fucking card. I was like, "What are you doing?" And it was this whole thing where it's all like, "Oh, but you get the rub from Hogan." And it's like, no, but it makes Hogan look at me, I'm the famous guy. And you go like,
well, look at me, I'm a racist now, so.
Well, now, yeah. But I mean, at the time, like when Thunder won it, like I felt like there was a cool thing there where Dustin wanted to share that moment, but I also felt like that's Thunder's moment. Let her have it, give it to her, be the first one she sees on the other side of the curtain. But I feel like Thunder Rosa has worked so hard and done so much on her own and with other people, but on her own, that I didn't need to see someone come out and say, we also are happy for this. Like, no, I want her to have her moment alone. This is her moment. I didn't need him in that shot. It's not a dig on him or anything like that, because I know how much he loves and respects her and how much he's worked with the women's division there in general. It just was one of those things where it's all like, I felt like it took away more than it added, and I don't think that was the intention. But that's kind of that was me. I like the guy. I think he's incredible. I was just like, it could have waited till they were off air, but Cinder Fox says, Marsh, if you don't watch the vlog of Thunder Rosa, Dustin's major influence for her, maybe she wanted him to be there. I mean, her family already had that and the new champion shirts and and the photos with the full face paint. Yeah, there was a bunch of that stuff. And so, I mean, I know he was she's always spoken super highly of him in a lot of ways. That's what I mean. Like, I would have liked to see a lot of that backstage stuff. That's what I think what it comes down to is, and maybe I'm just conditioned to like it that way, because that's how WWE typically does it, is they have their big moments in ring, and then a documentary comes out like a year later of like the behind the scenes stuff, and you see those moments, and you see the Paul Heyman hugging a Roman Reigns and saying, you know, I'm so proud of you, Joe, and stuff, and you have those moments and you go, oh, this is crazy cool. And I like that separation, maybe, is all it is. Maybe it's just a personal taste thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but they don't do good vignettes like that or any kind of documentary.
Yeah, but maybe they will in time. But right now, maybe the reason they don't is because they have this instead, and maybe because they don't, they do this instead. So it could absolutely be a nitpicking personal taste of. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like my separation a little bit. I like to live in that moment, and then later on live in a different moment where it's all like, oh, look at how beautiful this all was backstage. Like I've said it with a lot of the -1 stuff. As much as I like a lot of that stuff, I wish it was done backstage and off air and in some
Not
form
like a
of
fan
video
fest.
package later. Yeah, like do a thing later with it. Like, so maybe it's just personal taste. I got you. I'm not trying, like I said, I'm not trying to discount him or his influence or anything. It was just that moment I didn't feel like needed it necessarily. Spin Fox says, Con Man, yeah, his bitch ass wears the backstage video of after the show cheering for her like they did for the Lights Out match, playing favorites again. That's true. They did put that out. Remember Lights Out match? They showed a whole video package of all the backstage stuff. Everyone talking about Britt Baker, how amazing she was. Yeah.
I told you.
Too. That's true. That did happen. But
if your eyes aren't open to this before, they should be opening now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I do want both of the Thunder Rosa action figures for sure. But yeah, congratulations, Thunder Rosa. Obviously, couldn't have been happier for her. Obviously, we met her recently and for the first time since Hard Times, and it was great. And it's all good. All good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm being picky because that's what we do here. We drink and be picky. But I love
not going to see Colt Cabana win a title.
No.
So, so you're not going to see, but yeah. Now, if you were at Hard Times, I was a mess.
Oh,
yeah.
Fox does have a quick question, and then we'll talk NXT. He does say, I have to ask, he goes, thoughts on how many ethnic talents are now on AEW TV after the Swole ordeal? Is it an improvement, or is it just catering so they don't get into more drama?
Catering to get into more drama.
I think it's the second. I don't think that it was... and I think it's a double-edged sword. I don't think it was a cognitive thought on his part to begin with. I don't think he ever thought I should push this person to make sure there's more representation, which is both good and bad, right? You don't want to be pushing someone strictly because of, right? You want to push someone in addition to, is the best way I can put it. But I do feel like that a sudden big surge of stuff is a direct response to what Swole said, and not a direct response to just their given talent to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do feel like that's part of it. And at the same time, I kind of don't mind. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not mad at it, if that makes sense. I'm also not pissed that, like, hey, Swole said this thing and made a change. It's also kind of like, well, good. At least she said something, and now they're making that effort. Whether for good reasons or bad, at least the effort's being made.
But to throw the double-edged sword in there, it's like, why do you need somebody to tell you that? Because if you're already conscious and you don't want to be like the other one, even though you compare yourselves and grab their old people and you look the same shit, you would already be aware of that. And especially because if you were to really look at their roster, I'd probably say a third of it is there is an ethnic type, a diverse and an ethnic type of.
They have a diverse roster for sure.
They do. And do they? No, they don't. And
no, but they're starting to.
because I think that people are now, they're making people woke to it. I mean, look at that album that came out for Black History Month. Okay, well, first of all, it should have gone on iTunes or something, because I don't have a CD player. The only one I have is in my car, and that thing has never been used. So, it's like, why didn't you do that? I mean,
Yeah.
it actually, you get a better return on your money. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know about music things, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would assume.
If you've seen the show, they had Private Party, Will Hobbs, Jade, Swerve, Starks, Lee, Yuta, Thunder Rosa, probably missing more. Scorpio Sky comes to mind, obviously. He goes, okay, now do you think he's going to overdo it with ethnic groups? I don't think so. Like, I do agree that it's a bummer that someone had to shake him. And he was at first resilient and said that's not the case of it.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that it does seem to be that there are more ethnic representation being put on there. The reason I don't think he's going to overdo it is because they've already split up the Andrade camp, which was just all the Mexicans in one group. You know what I mean? There was a while they did all the Mexicans in one segment a week, and it was kind of like, okay, this feels super token and not fluid. I feel like he's getting a lot better at doing it fluid. I feel like if the cognizant thought is coming across while they're booking the show of saying, you know what, this is a lot of white people for the first hour and a half, let's shake this up, that kind of doesn't bother me. Like, I understand why that would bother someone, but it doesn't really bother me. Like, if the idea is, hey, you know what, I didn't even think about it, but we've kind of erased a whole representation, let's make sure we find a way to put it in. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. And I think that they are doing better. I think it is because Swole said something, and I think Tony Khan will never admit that. But I'm happy it seems to be a change. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, but a lot of it, it's not really the wrestling. It's more of, okay, there's these segments and whatnot. Okay, yeah, if you want to see diversity, watch YouTube. That's what's being pressed with. Unless you are one of these, like, crowd favorites, like a Penta and Ray. I don't even want to say lethal or anything, but, like, obviously, now Scorpio Sky, you kind of have to.
Part of his confusion came in from the begin with is because if he is booking and editing everything for every show, it might have not felt like it was not diverse because of all the diversity across all of his shows, as opposed to Swole's complaint of it's not on Dynamite, and that's where the focus needs to be because it gets the most eyes. I wonder if he just didn't realize that he has it spread across so far that it doesn't seem to make the same rounds. You know what I mean?
I think he realizes it.
Yeah.
No, I think he realizes it. She woke him up to that.
Yes.
And has it been changed slightly? But it's still not where it could be. Mm-hmm.
And there's something wrong with that.
Because
I think it's a good direction, though. I'm happy with the direction. Yeah, and I do think it's strictly because of Swole, and I think he'll never admit that. I think he'll be like, this was always the plan. For 4 years, this was the plan. Yeah.
Nope. Nope. Yeah. Maybe one day if he's ever sober, he might be able to say, that's because of her. I don't know. I don't know.
Spin Fox says, I see Swerve and Sky being a major factor in the future. I just hope it's not due to the skin color and how talented they truly are. Hope it happens before they go under.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Even when you try to take in the conversation of affirmative action and stuff, when someone's put into place with an emphasis on their skin color and ethnic background, the belief is that they're still finding someone qualified, and they're going to overachieve in that realm. You know what I mean? Like, so that's to say, if they say, hey, we're going to give Swerve and Sky a bigger platform because they're black and we're underrepresented in the black community, as far as our TV show goes, I don't think there's two better guys you can pick, because they'll do it. Because they'll do it in despite of. They'll be incredible regardless of that fact. But if that's what gets them that opportunity, I don't hate it. I don't love it as much as possible, right? But I don't hate it. Like, making sure they get that platform by hell or high water, is probably the most important thing. And if that platform is because of, these guys are going to overachieve despite of. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Shouts to Swerve on his first signature wrestling shoe. That's interesting. I don't know what that is about, but either way, you ready to talk about NXT?
Absolutely.
Let's talk NXT. Dude, NXT 2.0 this week was really fucking good. Like,
I've been saying that every on episode 1. It's been getting better and better and better. And I won't say that I judged it harshly when it first started, because it really, when you look back, it really did kind of stopped. Let's face it. I mean, but now it's like, holy shit. And just the quality of not just the wrestling, but a lot of the other things. Like, for example, I know this is me skipping way ahead, but this is a great example, I think, is during the Cameron Grimes Santos Escobar match, and a lot of the commentary that Carmelo Hayes was throwing in. It was great. I mean, I loved how it was very seasoned. It was very polished. It was very seasoned, and I really do think that Wade Barrett and why am I forgetting his name? Vic Joseph. Almost called him Vic Grimes. Vic Joseph. How they really, not only just how their chemistry, but when you throw someone into that mix. I mean, they did it well with Beth, and it went really well with Carmelo Hayes. That's where it really just kind of tightens everything up, and it doesn't seem chaotic, because I think at the beginning 2.0 was chaotic because I didn't know where it was going to go, but I think now it does.
Yeah, I think it definitely found its groove. It figured out what was happening, and I think at first it was a lot of throwing shit at the wall and just seeing where things were. And I think that they're reading the audience and they're following along. Like, 100%. I even think the amount of main roster talent to beat on here. In this show, we had Miz, Rude, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and they did amazing in their spots. You know what I mean? Like, it opened up with Miz TV. Miz brings out Dolph and Robert Roode, interrupted by LA Knight. And now you have LA Knight in the ring, on the mic, talking to the Miz, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. And LA Knight was not a fish out of water.
Nope.
He was just as strong a promo as anyone else in that ring, and I thought that was fucking incredible. And he said the line I've been saying for weeks, when he's been calling himself the $1 million megastar. I said, how perfect is that for him when he goes to the main roster and he can say, I'm up here and you guys might all be superstars, but I'm a megastar. He got the chance to say it in this one where they said, look, you might be just fine here in NXT, but we're superstars. And he said, you guys might be superstars, but I'm a megastar. And I was all like, oh shit, here we go.
I stood up and was like, bravo.
Yeah.
The
way he's got the crowd eating out of his hand, because he didn't even say, he's like, because you know whose game it is? And then does the finger point in the crowd, L.A. Knight. And he just goes, dead-eyeing them. He's letting the crowd cut part of his promo, dead-eyeing the other talent, like, I'm so good, they're doing
Look
it
at this.
It was
and especially
incredible.
And the let me talk to you.
Yes.
The crowd went ape shit, I thought, for that.
He had to bring the crowd down just from his entrance alone. He's going up there. The crowd was going so nuts. He's like, bring it down, bring it down.
Bring it down.
And then it was, once they were quiet enough, let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you. And then they got rowdy again. Yeah. It was like the best thing ever, And I mean, this is the kind of people that you sit there. Like, there were so many moments in this episode, like, man, I really hope that the new crop of people in the Performance Center really kind of take a look at what's going on right now, because there's a lot of things that these seasoned people can offer. And just, seeing how great LA Knight is on the mic, you can't teach people that.
I loved. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I loved. I just loved thinking about when he just got to NXT and how much he was just getting shit on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
no one cared. Everyone thought his name was shit. They
Yep.
didn't care for him. And we were just so furious. And I just
Yeah.
love that it's finally turned around. They finally got with the program and saw how amazing he is. And it just goes to show, like, this fan base is just so dumb sometimes.
Fickle,
Yep.
as the old Daniel Bryan would say. Fickle. Now, here's the other deal. It's because we were saying it for a while, too. When you think about LA Knight, the idea he never wavered. The crowd
Yes.
did not accept him. And he went,
Nope.
okay,
Yep.
we can do that, too.
Yep.
The fact that he saw a crowd just shit on him, shit all over his name, the Twitter sphere was just filled with people saying he's too pro wrestling. He's good, I guess. He's in good shape, I guess, but he's just like a typical pro wrestler.
Yep.
He just comes off like pro wrestler. And I was like, yeah, but isn't that like a clever gimmick for a place that has a bunch of
Yeah.
indie stars, like, and a bunch of like sports entertainers? Isn't being a classic pro wrestler kind of a unique gimmick in this current atmosphere?
Yeah.
To which I was met with boos.
Yep.
But to see that LA Knight sees that response, is aware of that response, and goes, okay, we'll do that. And I'll get you back anyways. And he just stayed the course and won the entire crowd over because he's that goddamn good. He never wavered. He never was nervous out there. When the crowd was not responding to his thing, kept doing it.
Yep.
Just keep doing it.
I feel like it was up until he like won the title, that he was just getting shit on.
Yeah.
And that title finally, I think, started cracking people.
And I think the Grayson Waller thing was the next big step. You know,
I think Grayson Waller, was really the catalyst.
Yeah, I think that the $1 Million Championship and the Cameron Grimes stuff had people on the fence on him. I
Yeah.
think it's where they started to wobble. And I think the Grayson Waller thing is where he just threw it over the side and said, nope, this is where we're going to be. This is where it's going to be, and this is why you guys are coming along. And I've said it from before, too, that he's just so ridiculously undeniable in his absolute fantastic presence that, like, it just, I mean, I think part of the reason I was so mad is because when it was first happening, I was like, are they really going to ruin this for us? What we could have with an LA Knight? Is the crowd going to destroy what this guy's bringing to the table? And it was like, it was almost like LA Knight's just like, don't you worry about that. You just watch along.
Yeah.
I'll get him. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he does. He wraps them all around, and now he's sitting in there. Dolph Ziggler and The Miz, two of the all-time great talkers, according to a lot of people.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
And he fit right the fuck in, and he's dead-eyeing them.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, and so are they.
Yeah. Well,
Because
because
they're behind
Yeah.
you.
yeah, I mean, he's been so pro the entire time, and it's just, we're just so happy for him.
Never wavered, never got nervous. You never saw him go out there and cut a promo where he just seemed like he was a little unsure.
Yeah.
He was like, no, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Nah, not today.
Yeah.
Nah.
Just been killing it
Yeah.
since like NWA, really.
Yeah. Since Impact, really, but yeah.
Impact, yeah.
Yeah. It's
But-
interesting because not only just him, but like, with MSK, and all of a sudden, they were getting all those boos and whatnot. Like,
Yes.
it's like the fans, again, it's not just fickle, but it's just like,
Wrong.
you just can't, they can't accept when something is good and it's put in front of their face. They can't accept that. It's like, no, we need to find it and discover it for ourselves. Just don't shove it to me, because then they want to go around, oh yeah, like, we discovered this guy. No,
Yeah.
you didn't. Because if you discovered this guy, you would have been hot on the hype train from day one. You wouldn't be booing it. You wouldn't be all, what the hell is this? And whatnot. And especially because these are really seasoned people. They're people who had a name before they got there. And a lot of people were upset that they were there. So, doesn't mean boo people. So I'm glad that he's gotten that resurgence and that respect. Same with MSK. There's a lot of respect now. I mean, they don't boo him anymore. I blame whatchamacallit's dad. But
I
whatever.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
Yeah, I'm
So cool.
excited. Watching LA Knight now is one of the few people I see on TV where every time they come out and do something, I get chills about what the future holds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a lot of them I watch and enjoy what we have now. And this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And this story will be good. But watching LA Knight, even when I saw him in Hard Times, there was a feeling I got that was like, the future is that I'm going to be able to say I saw this today. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, his potential is so crazy limitless.
Oh yeah.
I really think that he could be on the top for a long time. He could be the type to realistically, depending on how, I mean, I'd probably, it's too long of a timetable, but I'm saying like, if we had this Roman Reigns in 2-3 years,
Yep.
I could see an LA Knight taking him out.
Yep.
Being that dude. He comes off like a Cena, like a Rock.
Yeah.
He comes off that level. He comes off like a Kurt Angle and an Austin at times. Like, I think that he's just a bottled up rocket pack. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So he's the one where I watch and I get chills and go, God damn, in 10 years I'm going to talk about this.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
In 10 years I'm going to be like, I was in the audience when he won a tag title NWA, and people were like, really? Way back when? Whoa. You know what I mean? Like,
Whoa, yeah.
You saw him live? Like, that's going to be the thing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know?
In such a small setting, and not only that too, but that weekend of tapings.
Yeah, I got a picture with him, and he signed stuff for me, like, and he wouldn't take
I
$1.
did not get a picture. I did not get a picture. I'm a little sad about that, but
That
whatever.
was
It's
stupid.
okay.
You messed up. You fucked up big time.
I know. I did. Sorry.
But I got the picture. I mean, he knew my brother. My brother's got a picture with him from before he was even in NWA. Those are things that we're going to look back on. I feel like the potential is there. That me and my brother are going to be able to show that, and it's going to be like when people show pictures of them with The Rock when you had curly hair. When people are like, oh my God, you saw him when he was in Memphis? Like, it's going to be that kind of thing. I think he's got that level of potential in him. And the fact that the crowd is finally on base and gets it and feels it too, God, it just, I mean, it just feels so good because you're right. And you know that every time that you were unsure, that I was unsure, he's on the other side going, you let me take care of that. Fucking incredible.
Yeah, I wish that Starkey, speaking of NWA people, I wish that was kind of the case, because it's like, he's great then. I mean, he's still great. Unfortunately, there's some bad choices that are made and being made and had been made. But yeah, no, I mean, that's how I feel about like both of them. But LA Knight, man, holy shit. I mean, that just is. I mean, that's
people
like
as much as people like Spinner Fox want to call Ricky Starks Baby Rock.
Baby
I
Rock.
think you could say the same thing about LA Knight. You can call him Baby Rock too, because he's got a lot of energy.
Yep, throw a turtleneck on him and a chain, and there you go. Put a little, he's got tan. Sometimes I think he might be darker than Ricky Starks right now, if I'm not mistaken. But. But kudos to him, because let me tell you something. When he stepped up to that challenge, let me tell you, the goosebumps. I was just like, this has been like what we've been wanting. Did I think he was going to win? No. But that's not the point. The point is, this is where this guy should be. This is the level at which he can do it at. And, and that was, just seeing that and having other people see it, that was
I would argue that the LA Knight's match against Dolph Ziggler this week is to date the most important match of his career.
Absolutely. I'll agree.
I think that, and when you watched it, he fit in. He fit there. He belonged there. And in only the respect that he almost didn't belong there because he felt bigger than it already. I agree. That the only thing that deflated me on this was like, oh, he's getting the match tonight. I was like,
man, yeah.
Because like I would have been so happy if they said LA Knight versus Dolph Ziggler, stand and deliver NXT Championship. I would have been like, oh shit, LA Knight's going to be the NXT champ. Here we fucking go. But to do it this way, I was kind of like, oh no. And I was like, but maybe they keep Braun Breaker going where he's going, and maybe we do like they did with the women's division, especially when I think of like Asuka comes to mind, Shayna Baszler, where they had these long-term champions in the division as their tent pole. Meanwhile, all the other women during that era were getting shit and moving on. Figure it out. Lose your match to Shayna. Go to the main roster. You know what I mean? Bianca Belair lost to Shayna Baszler. And she went on because they said, okay, she's so big, she's ready to go. But we're still teaching Shayna what to do, right? I feel like with Braun Breaker, you leave him there for a year and let him circle that drain, as it were, of like, hey, we're going to get you so by the time you're really main roster, you're fucking ready. And guys like LA Knight take that circle and sling off. Like, I think he won't ever hold the title. I think he'll be main roster soon enough. And I think this match with Dolph showed that.
Yeah. And I think too that maybe this was a great litmus test to see, okay, he's rolling with, a main roster guy. How, what's that presentation going to look like?
Yeah.
Because I think that, instead of throwing someone up and putting them on a random Raw like they were doing with like Karrion Kross and with Bronson Reed, I think that the safer way to do it is to see on their turf how they perform and how, because you can't tell me that would not fit perfectly in a Raw or a SmackDown. You cannot tell me that wouldn't. I mean, that's the quality of match it was. And even the promo
segment it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest test, if anything.
The only thing strange about the Miz TV and the main event was that it had an NXT backdrop, that it wasn't on SmackDown, that it wasn't on Raw. That was the weird part.
No.
I don't believe for a second that you don't have 3 dudes knocking on Vince's door this week saying, hey, I don't know if you know what's down there right now, but you got a guy that should be here. You know what I mean?
Did you see that? Did you see what, Miz and these guys were doing? Because it was magic.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can't say that about a lot of what goes on NXT, being truthful.
Yeah.
Same thing, you don't see that on AEW. Sorry, Splinter Foxes. It's true. You don't see that kind of stuff there. And if you did, it probably would be a lot better. People probably wouldn't leave or, things like that. But, again, I digress. But yeah, so it was just beautiful. I cried a little, shed a tear. Yeah.
It was amazing. Splinter Fox has a concept here, and I actually think it's a fun conversation because we've talked about it a little bit here before. He says, okay, wait. He goes, just wait on a second. He goes, so check this out. Dolph and Mandy are the champions. Yep. Dolph Ziggler and Mandy Rose are the NXT champions right now. He said, smart move heading to Mania weekend to show off younger talent. Smart move. He goes, but it is sad that the E fan base don't know the talent down in NXT or watch it. Before I move on a segment, I 1,000% agree to that. I do think more of the WWE fan base would enjoy NXT and NXT 2.0 to see these people blossom. Like Cora Jade, watching her grow down there has been fucking great. It's like endearing. Like she's like quickly becoming one of my favorite people to watch because you're seeing her grow. And she's another one where you watch her now and say, man, in 10 years, I'm going to talk about watching her first match on NXT. Yeah. She's one of those, like a lot of these ones. And I think that people would enjoy that. And I think that's the whole reason NXT 2.0 and NXT Black and Gold were on USA, was because it was for a long time strictly on the network and people weren't watching it. And I think they also recognize a lot of our fan base would enjoy watching them grow up, as it were. It just turns out no one is. He does then continue to say, it just seems like the WWE fan base don't watch the younger talent until they make it to the, quote, main roster. That is such a shame. Shout outs to you guys for trying to bring a spotlight on NXT. Oh, I appreciate that. That was nice. Yeah, 100%. I think that the fan base would enjoy it because I think that I understand the flip side, right? Some people say they don't like the NXT because sometimes those people don't go onto the main roster. They don't look the same on the main roster. Maybe they'll get a name like Butch, and people get mad about that. But I think if you can enjoy the process of it all and just sit back a little bit, it's really enjoyable to see someone grow into it all. And sometimes you see, and when you're right, it's amazing, right? Like when I was first watching like Sami Zayn and Bayley in NXT, I was all like, oh, this is a thing. They're going to be something. And now here we are 5-6 years later, and I can say I've been ride or die with them since NXT, and it feels really good to see them succeed. it's your horse in the race, you know?
Yeah.
And when they were fledgling and when they were doing poorly in the kendo stick match and Sami Zayn versus Braun Strowman, which was fucking trash, the whole time I'm watching it, Kev's giving me shit. And Kev's telling me, you know, how's your boy Sammy doing now? And I was like, I don't love it, but I'll tell you, he's not done yet. Don't count him out. This guy is something special. You know what I mean? And I think that's the cool part about NXT is you get to find those ones that are special and hang on to them for a long, long time. It's a shame when you lose a few.
Yeah. Or they're not there that long and they get catapulted for because like Ricochet. Yeah. Always will pick on Ricochet. But like LA Knight, you can catapult him. That's fine. Cameron Grimes, you can catapult him. Totally fine. But, you know, and there's other people too that you could probably do that with. But like right now, you know, it's great that these young people have these great kind of people because these are this is the next wave, and they're kind of entwined in that. But I really think that it's a great way to do it. And then, you know, maybe Vince was told before that, hey, you know, this LA Knight guy might want to take a look at him, and that's why you saw the Miz down there. You have your best two talkers. Down there.
Well, let me see what the Miz says. Let me send him down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know people hate them. I love the Miz. Okay, I was like, oh my god, the Miz is on. Yeah, I love the Miz. Always have. But I thought that was really interesting because you got LA Knight here. You got Ziggler. You've got three people who are excellent with the mic. Bobby Roode. I'm like, you're just there by association. You know, I mean, yeah, you know, don't pick up a mic, please. Let the others talk. But definitely, it was like, wow, this is definitely, you know, this is what people should be seeing, but they don't. And I think that there was that stigma of, okay, we're signing all these indie people, and that turned off a lot of people because, you know, everyone thinks that indie wrestling is that outlaw mud show wrestling, which it's not, you know. And I think that, you know, WWE, because there was only one major player, because I don't want to count Ring of Honor, I don't want to count Impact, whatever. There's only one major player. That's the only place you can go. But now there's another one. But people need to realize that now people have choices. And if you're seeing these seasoned people, not your homegrown ones, but your seasoned ones getting signed and going there, there's a reason, obviously, why they ended up going to the E and not to the con man. So yeah.
Yeah, and like Zoe Starks, she was offered by both and went NXT. I mean, she got injured, and it's kind of been what it's been. She's done well. I think, I do think that there's something special to watch him grow. The same way that like watching Darby Allin's been special. You know what I mean? Like watching Sammy Guevara grow has been real special. If you're a Sammy Guevara fan, and I know you're not, but if you were, watching him come out to the first AEW show with that stupid panda hat and getting to where he's at now, if you're a Guevara fan, it's been amazing to be a part of that run, you know? Just watching it. And I think NXT provides that too, and people don't take advantage of that. So Spinner Fox says, I still watch the e-product, tired of the bullshit, non-stopping, prefer wrestling over talking. And I think that's a really important thing too to note. Because I know that that's one of my problems with some of these shows. Because he goes, that's why I prefer NJPW, MLW, AEW, GCW. PS, the collective is going to outshine any main event from that weekend is my thoughts. Which it may very well do.
It will.
But it's one of my outshining. Problems with GCW now, one of my issues with it is I've gone to a few of their shows. And when I got to go to two back-to-back, and it's all wrestling and no talking, I get exhausted from that. I need the breakup personally. So I do think there's different types of fans who like different types of things. I need that story. That's why my favorite thing coming out of that GCW weekend that was before was the Janela Xbox stuff. The promo that Janela cut the next day. Incredible, compelling. X-Pac comes out, cuts a promo too. X-Pac's never been a talking guy, but he killed it. I think there's I think it's really notable that I think people need to also understand that there are different types of people who perceive wrestling in different ways, right? Like Spin Fox says, I can watch wrestling all day. 100%. He can watch probably match to match to match and have no break and no story and doesn't need a backdrop. Just is ready to see bell to bell action.
Yes.
I need a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, I get exhausted from that. If I have just a lot of wrestling, at a certain point I go, okay, but why am I cheering? Like, and they can become a little interchangeable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I think
I need a little bit extra. I need a little pizzazz in my coffee, you know?
Yeah. Going to the collective comment, probably I'd say 5 years ago, WrestleCon and their shows were king. Because that's all you really had. You had that, you had Evolve, and then you had Ring of Honor. Usually Evolve and Ring of Honor, because of the contracts that WWE would have, saying that they didn't want any other wrestling shows to run in the city they were in. So a lot of them had to go far away. Ring of Honor was like 20 miles away, or 25. Hell to get to. We didn't go to that. Or last one I went to New Orleans, Ring of Honor was like almost 30, 40 minutes away. Same with the collective. Well, not the collective, but the GCW shows they had, which was Janela Spring Break. Janela, I think Evolve was running there too. But this was before GCW did it. And, those were some of the most sought after shows were these WrestleCon ones. The collective, when they were going to do it in Tampa, just looking at that lineup of shows, because there were new shows. You had the Effie's Big Gay Brunch, you had For the Culture, you had all of these really great new types of shows besides Bloodsport and, Spring Break and the regular GCW product. So I think that, and now they have even more because they've got a Lucha one that Gringo Loco is doing. So that is the weekend. If you go to Dallas and you don't see any of that, you just did a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
Because I would love to go and just go to not all of them, but the majority of them. I would love to do that. Just because I think it's great. It's great product. WrestleCon, big failure. Their super show, I don't think it's that super. And they replaced Joey Ryan's penis party with Zicky Dice. I'm like, no. I'm not saying that, that sucks compared to Joey Ryan. I'm like, no, we don't need that kind of stuff. Sorry, but I don't know. But collective, if you are interested people, that's going to be the best money spent that weekend is buying the package on Fight for the collective. I think so.
For sure.
Because you get it all, and you don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing all at once. That's why I like that. Because I can't sit there like that. I tried to with Fight Forever, and that just, it was too much.
Spin Fox does say, once an indie star leaves to the I wish them the best, but that's it for me. He goes, Dolph and Bailey will have a special place in my heart, but I just can't. If you do feel that way about Dolph, I would say it would be worth your time to watch the first segment and the last match in this week's NXT, because Dolph and LA Knight together were remarkably good, and I didn't expect them to be so good together, and they were. And I think that as a Dolph fan, you'd really enjoy that, and then you don't have to feel like you're watching NXT necessarily because you're watching a bubble of it. Watch the opening, watch the end, be out. Don't watch anything in between. You're fine. And you get to enjoy Dolph and LA Knight, which I believe you'd probably fall in love with LA Knight in a sense. Although I'm not saying you'd follow LA Knight's career, obviously, but I think you'd really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And he says, fuck Sammy, I can't after all that drama. The True Colors came out. Oh, for sure. I'm just saying. He goes, I could watch wrestling all day. I'm like a gym rat. I'm a wrestling rat. I love the art on the canvas. He goes, I didn't need to set up Brett's best matches. There was no storyline. That's just flat out not true. Like, Bret Hart didn't have matches without storylines almost at all, unless you're talking about 1, 2, 3 Kid versus Bret Hart, which was kind of a weird way that 1, 2, 3 Kid got into the match. But he made sure that the match was dripping with story. And I think that's the difference with Brett, is if the story's not there leading in, a guy like Brett's going to add a ton of story within the match, which a lot of people won't do. They're just going to do a match they think will be good. But Brett goes, okay, I don't have the Stone Cold build-up. I don't have the HBK build-up. I'm going to have to do more within this match to make it special. And he does. But at the same time, I don't think you can find anyone who could name top 10 Bret Hart matches and not list him and Owen, him and Shawn, him and Stone Cold, him and Diesel, him and Razor. They all had stories. All of them dripping with stories to get you there. He said, I'm like the underground fanboy of music artists, but with wrestling, you wish I could go to all of them, the collective. He goes, I know Eli Drake, and that's good enough. Yeah, well, he gets better as he goes. That's the problem. You can either stifle yourself from seeing people get better, or you can check out little highlights here and there. Let's see. Escobar versus Cameron Grimes. Actually, this was a fucking cool match.
This was a cool match. Didn't end up how I wanted it to, but that's okay. I was alluding it earlier that what I really loved was that synergy that Carmelo Hayes had with Vic and Stu. Well, sorry, yes. Wade. So sorry, I keep doing that. Anyways, yeah. I loved that synergy, and I think that really, that's the way you do commentary with that. Shivani kind of misses, because JR knows that style. Excalibur can do that, but Shivani just misses the boat on it, and it's awkward.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jericho's any better. Jericho just screams, and it's like, hey. But yeah. Like Taz, a lot of the times, if you threw Taz in with Excalibur and JR, it works out well, because you get a lot of that story, you get a lot of whatever. It works well, and I think that made the match even better. I think. Then, because it was a great match. I'm not gonna lie, it was a great match, but that made it just that level. It stepped it up a level.
And it kind of made me, the match in and of itself, I said wow when I saw the match on paper, because I was like, oh, you have a qualifying match for a ladder match, and the qualifier has Santos versus Cameron Grimes. I'm like, yeah, you have two of the most incredible wrestlers on the roster, and you're gonna say only one's getting to that match? Like, I was kind of floored already. I was like, holy shit, how do you make that decision now? You know, like, I would have figured you would have done it a lot to make sure both of them are in that match, let alone say only one makes it, you know?
One. Yeah, I mean, that was ludicrous to me. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. One of them is going to lose? What? Yeah, that's how I went into it, like, oh my God. So... But either way, I mean, I'm happy with the outcome. Yeah, I'd like to see Cameron Grimes get that big push. Hopefully, there is something for him on that show. I really hope so. Yeah, I really, really hope so. That's my fingers crossed.
I agree. This one was awesome. I was really surprised by the match being put together at all, and I loved how it came together. Same with the next match, A-Kid versus Koshida.
Oh God!
Fantastic match. It reminded me of how just goddamn good Koshida is when he's not just strapped down with his comedy partner.
You know, I sat there and I was just thinking to myself, like, whoever's idea was to put him, you know, this whole, what is it, Jacket Club or whatever, or Jacket Time? Oh, Jacket Time. Jacket Time Club. Rip off the Bullet Club, but Jacket Time. That is such a waste of Kushida. Yeah. And it's almost, to me, insulting as someone who, you know, who's watched, you know, him in New Japan, and he's one of the best junior wrestlers in the world. And to see that, it's like, what are you doing? You know? But to see A-Kid and him, that was just magical. I mean, the level of wrestling on this show this evening was, the women were okay. They were okay. It's okay, but I'm not going to say, but the men's matches were all just phenomenal. But that match, I mean, if you've never seen A-Kid before, that match will actually make you go and try to see NXT UK or anything that is out there that he's done.
Heritage Cup stuff.
Yeah. Heritage Cup. Yeah, all of that. And I think that's a great thing to see, and you know, it was great. I actually watched that match twice.
This reminded me how good Koshida is.
Yeah, and then how good A Kid was. Like I took it one way of man, Koshida, fucking great, and then I went back and I'm like, but A Kid though, damn. And that's a great way to really introduce somebody, especially someone who's got a lot of that talent, and you're not a real name that anyone would know. And I think that was really awesome.
Yeah.
So I was very excited about that.
Yeah, just so good. And the only reason I said that with Koshida instead of A Kid is just because we watch so much NXT UK here that I know A Kid and I get it. And so seeing him perform like this here, no shock, no surprise. I already knew that about A Kid. But Koshida, you get excited for him and then you get let down with the cartoon shit. And so like, it was one of those shows like this was nice because it reminded you that Koshida is so goddamn good.
I would say that if you do watch New Japan and you do watch the Best of the Super Juniors, I'm not going to say Super J Cup, but Best of the Super Juniors, this was a quality Best of the Juniors match. I mean, that was the level of it. I mean, because there have been some fantastic ones, like, God, Kushida had some great ones with like Hiromu and, and I'll even admit this, Ocean Spray. Ricochet, when Ricochet was, doing New Japan. I mean, there's been some, that was that kind of level of match. And it's on goddamn NXT. Come on, Splinter Fox. You got to admit, when if an E is producing this kind of product, I don't care who it is. I ain't getting it on AEW for damn sure.
I want to know what you thought about this one. We had Tiffany Stratton versus Saray.
Okay. I have a weird problem with this one. I like Tiffany Stratton. Don't get me wrong. She's been doing phenomenal. Her character work, everything. I mean, her wrestling, it's been great. But this just seemed kind of hokey to me. I don't know, because the whole amulet thing, the Sailor Moon thing, because remember how the one time you saw that Sailor Moon thing and then she's in her regular gear?
Yeah.
So I didn't get that. So that's why it was hokey. But it's okay.
I agree. So as I was watching this match, I was like, I think Stratton's incredible. She's going to be a future mega star. And I think Saray's very good. Yeah. But something about her character is not quite connected just yet. And I think that one of the things about Saray, and it occurred to me while I'm watching it, Saray was like overselling stuff in kind of a goofy way. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me that the idea is, as she's going out to the ring and she's got that amulet gives her power and transforms her into a warrior of the sun. That until she's transformed by that amulet on the way through, she's just kind of a kid, Yeah. So it felt like Tiffany got to her and bum rushed her before that amulet took power. And so therefore this whole match was about how Stratton had the advantage in every way because Saray never transformed into the warrior of the sun. She just was average Jane,
Yeah.
So I got it and thought that was kind of neat, kind of a fun twist on that. But at the end of the day, it adds a bit of silly supernaturalness that I don't quite need out of my NXT, and I don't quite need from this character. It's not like the supernaturalness of Bray Wyatt. I know wasn't for everyone, but Bray Wyatt, Kane, Undertaker, even Finn Balor, those levels of supernatural, I can get a little bit more intrigued by and behind. This one was just a little fucking strange, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think it was a bad match. I think I see where they were going with it. I really like Tiffany Stratton. And maybe I think what we get out of this is a rematch of the Warrior of the Sun versus Tiffany that ends up being a great match. What do you think?
Yeah. That's a possibility. But I think a lot of people, and I don't know how much the audience really sees, but, I don't know. These, weird little, segments and stuff. I mean, if I didn't know, I'd been like, what is this shit? Because you don't You don't know, like the little amulet. I wouldn't have known what that was if I, like if I'm at a show and all of this was going on, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Because the story was very, I don't want to say non-existent, but it was just weird.
Yeah.
How it was presented. So they could have done a better job with that. That's why I thought the match was like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about. But both wrestlers are good, very good.
Yes.
It just, unfortunately, it's the storyline that kind of took it out of the whole thing.
Yeah. But we got time on them for a while, and I think it's good.
We do.
Sean Fox does say he would say thank you to E for the Koshida action figure that was his OG attire from back in NJPW. I did see that action figure. It's such a great one. You should definitely buy that if you like Koshida. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You go see, if I want to see that, I would watch Power Rangers or a superhero movie. Okay. Tony D'Angelo and Tommaso Ciampa. Yo, this Ciampa promo could have been more economic, I think, with its words. Like, it kind of dragged for me after a while, where I didn't really know where we were going or why. And then for D'Angelo to come out and say what he said, I was just... By the time we even got to that, I was kind of out.
I didn't see the point. That was me. I don't know. It just was... I was like, at first I was like, okay, what are you doing? Tommaso? Like, and then as it went on, I'm like, really, what are you doing? I really wasn't... After a while, I just didn't listen. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, okay, I don't know. I don't get it. What's going on? And, it just took me out of the whole thing. Yeah. And then Tony gets in there and I'm like, huh? Yeah, I was already out.
Yeah.
Like maybe a fourth of the way in.
Yeah, there was a while in where I just kind of... I didn't see where we're going. I appreciate Champa being able to say his piece and stuff, and I almost would have preferred it didn't turn into an angle at all, but, kind of is what it is. I guess we see what happens at the end and probably have a good match to stand and deliver, but...
Yeah.
And then there was the Indie Persia stuff, which I'm happy to just scroll right by because I just was not paying attention to that.
That was awful. Yep. Nope, I don't pay attention to that either.
Okay, so this has been really cool. Fantasma Delgado del Fantasma. They're cutting a promo on being the greatest luchadors of all time, and the Mysterios pop up.
Oh, yeah.
I know that Phantasmo and Mysterio wrestled on the Indies one time, but this still felt like a big-time, once-in-a-lifetime match somehow. You know what I mean? Seeing them square off, like, in NXT and then talk a little bit felt like this is big.
Are you talking more about DJZ and Rey Mysterio facing each other?
Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. I know they had a one-on-one match on the Indies.
Oh, they did. Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, whatchamacallit is Joaquin Wilde, I know, is DJZ. I think had one too, but I could be wrong. Could totally be wrong. I feel like they did.
No, maybe. They might have. That's what I mean. Like on the Indies,
maybe at Warrior Wrestling. I don't know.
But somehow, to me, this felt huge to see them stare down each other, and Dominic to be involved in it, and then have the LDF kind of talk shit on that as well. Like, it was pretty cool. And then to see the match actually of Dominic versus Raul Mendoza.
Yeah.
I loved it. And then to see the physicality between Rey and Santos, like, I'm so into this. I am super into this.
That's how you do those types of matches when you have a relative, like crossovers. And I think that I really wished in a certain way that could kind of happen. That happened with like Hook with his dad as the mouthpiece, and then you have someone else with whoever as the mouthpiece. And I think that would have worked wonders. Of I'm the better, whatever. But it was great. I was like, wow, this is on an NXT and like what a regular NXT. It wasn't like a stand and deliver or those, weird specialty shows that are kind of like a pay-per-view, but not, you know. So
Yeah.
I was,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I was just like, wow, aren't we lucky?
Yeah, and I
That's all
think
I
that
can
we
think of.
might even get Dominic, or no, I guess because I don't know, that'd be tough. Because was it Dominic and Ray are in that Logan Paul Miz match? I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if by stand and deliver time we had Rey Mysterio and Santos, but we might get that after.
Yeah. And I think that could be something you could even get on main roster, maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
But I don't know how well that would be received. They'd
Hmm.
really have to kind of put segments and some kind of vignette in there
Hmm.
because of course we know that the average WWE fan, they don't watch NXT, so they're not going to know who this dude is
But the
and why
way they've
it's
been doing the
important.
crossovers with kind of a leak on both sides, I would love it if
Hmm.
when Ray and Dominic are doing stuff on the main roster,
Hmm.
Phantasma comes out and interferes. And then
Yeah,
we do get Santos and Ray on, what are they on, Raw? Yeah, on Raw.
I don't know.
I would love that. Actually have their one-on-one match be there. I think that'd be great. See
Yeah,
how the crowd
that'd be
responds.
good. Yeah, because then that can tell you again, let this test of, hey, are these guys ready to go?
Yeah.
I think so. I
Yeah.
honestly think so because they're that freaking great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Splinter Fox has a question. He said, "Question time: Is Champa's name change? What will Champa's name change be for the main roster? Will it be more out of nowhere like Dunn's?" I think really that sounds like you didn't hear or actually pay attention to Dunn's name change because it wasn't a name change necessarily. The promo was cut by Sheamus, who's saying, "Me and Ridge have been friends with this guy for years that you know by a different name, but we've been calling him by a nickname for years. We call him Butch." And Pete Dunne walks on things. So it wasn't like they're just all like, "Hey, Pete Dunne's Butch now." It was more like, "Hey, here's longtime friends who've known him for a long time." So it kind of like actually made sense in a lot of ways. But with Champa, he's been tagging on the main roster now on and off for the better part of like 2 years now, right? So
Yeah,
I think I feel like they'd leave Champa alone.
yeah, they're not going to change Champa.
No,
No way.
no,
No way.
but
I mean, they're not going to do something like, yeah, they're
um,
not going to flip the script on them like that. No, no.
let's see. There's only two other things I want to talk about that happened here. One we can probably get through pretty quick. Gunther had like a face to face with LA Knight. Got in his face, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Oh my God, I almost passed out because I thought this is going to be the greatest thing since
Yeah,
the invention of the wheel.
yeah.
Because damn, I mean, shit. But you know what? Also in this thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but this was the first thing that I noticed was is LA Knight really that tall? Because Walter looked kind of short. Gunther, sorry, looked kind of short.
Let me see. Because
Because
I
I have
feel
a
like
picture with him. I have a picture with him. Okay, and I'm 5'4", and he's like huge. You know,
yeah. Let's see.
and
My
and so I
picture
was
with LA Knight. He's standing behind me, and he looks like he's a good 2 inches above me. I'd say he's probably 6'2".
okay.
Here he is right next to me, and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I would say like probably 6'1", 6'2".
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
how tall Gunther is, but
He's got to be at least like 6'7" or
yeah,
taller, maybe 6'7" or 6'6". But
yeah.
even then, it did not look like 4 inches of height.
Between
If
the two
LA
of them.
Knight's like about, yeah,
Hmm.
I was like, is LA Knight standing on a box?
Oh, did they
I
make
had to
him
go
like?
back and watch.
Were they both really close in height?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
not there was not that much difference, and that's why I
Hmm.
was like, huh? Because he always like Walter always, well Gunther, sorry, he always looks like he towers over everybody,
Yeah, oh yeah. He looks like a monster.
and yeah, and this was not the case, so that's
Hmm.
why I was like a little thrown off by it.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah,
Splinter Fox says Google says Eli Drake is 6'1", but that's Google. Like I said, 6'1", 6'2". I could believe that. Look up Gunther. Let's see what's next. But the idea that we might get L.A. Knight versus Gunther is fucking exciting.
we
And it says
better
that
get
Google says
that.
6'4" for Gunther.
I don't know about that.
3-inch difference, maybe. I could see that, but
No, I gotta look at my picture again because either that or I'm shorter than I think I am.
you probably are. You're a tiny human.
Maybe. But then Marty Scurll's my height. Like we're about.
He's tiny. He is tiny. My
He's
picture with him, I'm
short.
towering over him. I look like I could beat him up quick.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen your picture with him. I don't think I saw it.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, it was funny. Yeah, it was funny how it's like, oh, do you want one? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't pay. I felt bad because the dude was there, and I'm like, I didn't pay for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited about that potential prospect there of getting LA Knight.
We better get it.
Crazy.
Don't tease. Don't tease us. Don't tease us, Pritchard. Don't tease us.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. The
Seriously.
final thing that happened overall throughout the show, and it was an ongoing thing, was Cora Jade stole the titles from Toxic Attraction. Now, I will say, first and foremost, that setup was stupid. She goes, the most important thing to Toxic Attraction ever are these titles. And they just left the titles in a random spot, in a random place backstage. That was dumb. That was a terrible setup. But what became of that, I thought, was really fucking good. And by the end of it, I was so impressed with how comfortable Cora Jade has gotten on screen. Because I remember when she was first cutting her promos there, we're like, wow, she's really nervous. But you know what? She's young, she'll get there. This one, her facial expressions, her demeanor, her little, like, the little, like, character things she was doing within herself were really shining, and she came off so fucking smooth and charismatic, and you almost felt like the camera wasn't on her. It just came off so natural. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I was just way impressed by it. I liked all the dumb little antics she was doing, all Home Alone style. Tries to get into Mandy Rose's car. Mandy fucking pulls the serial killer fucking thing. And that was a little hokey the way it was shot. But I loved all this Cora Jade stuff. I did think, as pointed out by Just in Time, it was really fucking silly that Cora Jade had spray paint to spray paint Mandy's car. And the spray paint was white and the car was white. So it was also like, you're going to spray paint it the same color? Like, what? But...
Yeah.
And Spinner Fox says Marty Boy's 5'9", and says that maybe the mass of Walter throws it off, which could be too, because he's just so big that it could he could seem bigger than he is even. Marty
is not 5'9". Okay. He is not 5'9".
I would say he's probably 5'8", 5'7".
He's 5'6".
5'6"? Okay. Yeah.
I've asked him. I'm like, I'm almost as tall as you.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we're short people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I know Cole, the three of us been around together. He's like, when we were taking pictures, he's got, damn, you are short.
Yeah. Because I'm 5'10", and I was towering over him like he was a tiny.
Yeah, and Marty was like, who are you calling short? And he goes, both of you.
That's
I'm like,
funny.
You're mean.
That's
Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater. Because he says he's 6'1", but he's not. I think he's 6.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he's shrinking, but
could be. So, what do you think of all the core stuff?
I loved it. It was really cute to see how much she's grown, and I think that there was this childlike quality to her character that made this really fun, and that's why I really enjoyed it. Now, what I did enjoy as a result of this stuff was the Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu little segment, which I thought was great. I love orange soda. Oh yeah, you didn't see that? It's when they were sitting there. It's Dakota, and it was, and Wendy, and they were sitting there. She goes, "Oh, you want some orange soda?" She goes, I don't know. It was being that weird, whatever. And then you saw Mandy and the gals come in, like, you see Cora Jade, right? And they're like, no. Well, we're looking for, because the house, and they go, oh, you should be thanking us for what we did for you, you guys last week, and that was a very interesting kind of thing. And so apparently I think they're gonna try to pull some shenanigans where I think Dakota, like, it's basically saying that they're gonna maybe do something for Dakota and Wendy again, because they probably know that they can't beat Io and Kaylee Ray. But I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to that match. But I think that that'll be a very interesting thing. But it was very funny because Dakota was like, well, you guys hurt Raquel. You put her on the show for 6 weeks. And it was really interesting because she had that, after what we saw like with Raquel in that match. So I think that it was really a cute little segment. But to see how Wendy's Chu and her quirky character and Dakota's whatever Dakota is right now, how they have this great synergy with each other. And I think it's really cute. So. That's one to watch if you didn't see it. Yeah. And I'm not saying it because I'm pro Wendy Chu. It just was a very cute segment and it worked really well with Toxic Attraction, all three of them. It was great. So yeah. And I've been impressed with Mandy since she's been back. And Gigi Dolan and was it Jane? Or whatever her name is. JC Jane. Okay. Those two are great too. You can see all of their improvement and things like that, and I think it's a really, whoever decided to put those three together, that was really good. You nailed it.
Yeah, and I think that NXT has been the best place for Mandy Rose. I think that it helped Mandy Rose tap into a part of her that she didn't realize was there. I think she'd been kind of not coasting, but I think she'd been relying on a lot of the veteran talent on the main roster for so long. I think she always thought of herself as less than and not equal to. And I think when she got here and everyone looked up to her as the veteran, she had to kind of step up into a role that she didn't realize she was all along. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think we have a newfound confidence with her that I think will translate back to the main roster whenever she's ready to go back.
Absolutely.
And I think that she realizes now how much she's got, what's there. And I think that before she was very unsure. I think this was always the issue, I think. But
and I think when she does go back, I think that because Toxic Attraction is such a good little stable, and I don't think the women really have that.
Not a lot
at all, right? Not a lot. That I think that's how that's going to go up to the main roster, is like that, because I could see them dominating one of the shows.
Definitely. I thought they would have sent Mandy Rose back by now, but I think that they're holding off until JC and Gigi are ready.
Yep, I think so too. I think
they're a unit now. Also, shout out to Core Jade. She's talked about before how hard it is for her to put on weight and how she's trying to get bigger and all that stuff. And I felt like this week it was super noticeable, a lot more muscle on her than we've seen previous, and just how hard work pays off. That she's putting in the work, and we're seeing results just from an outside perspective. She's looking great, and she's looking tough. Keep on.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of the roster, a lot of the guys are getting really lean and kind of stacked, and then a lot of the women, if there are smaller women, they're getting a little bit more bulk to them, but not weight bulk. It's more, you can see they're getting more tone, a little bit more muscle, etc. People need to leave Wendy Chu alone. I mean, she you can't tell she has a body because she's wearing a onesie, but she's, leave her alone. And like Raquel, I mean, that's another woman that I'm just like, she's not fat. She's a larger woman. She's got big bones. She's big.
She's big.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like she's big like Nia Jackson doesn't how to use her body in the ring. That would be she's a larger person, and she could do the work. She could do the shit.
Fox says, so in conclusion, Rose should have never left NXT that fast, or maybe due to the injury with Paige, it stunted her growth. I think that, if I'm being objective, I think that the people who make that call saw more in Mandy than she saw in herself, and I think that was the stunt. Right? They saw what you could be. She saw how green she was, and that slowed her down. I think this, like I said, helped her break out of that shell of her seeing finally what others already saw. I don't know if it was too soon. think she wasn't mentally open to it, if that makes sense. Fox says, where's Gonzalez in creative limbo? Dude, if you look at the pictures of CYN this past week or whatever, she's fucking ringside. So, I don't know. I think it's strictly because she's dating Braun Strowman. But,
she is?
Yeah, they're together.
Oh. Ew. Ew. Okay,
He's
sorry.
a big boy.
Well, ew. No, I shouldn't talk, but anyways.
He's a big boy.
I find Colt Cabana attractive and people think I'm weird.
Yeah, that's true. You are weird for that, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spinnerbox says, oh man, Gonzalez to CYN confirmed. Yeah, 100%, dude.
Dude, yeah. She gets released, that's where she's going. Come on now.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Anything else you had on there? Are you ready for me to wrap it up a little bit?
I'm ready to wrap it up.
Then I will say that it was really nice for the MSK promo. They came out in the NWO shirts. They started with the Hey Yo.
Mm-hmm.
I love how much love's been going around for Scott Hall, and
Yeah.
that shit never gets old to me. Appreciating people when they're alive is of the utmost importance, but making sure when someone passes that you're able to express how much they meant, I think, is also a big deal. So
Yeah.
I love
and
it.
I really think, and I think that, because a lot of these guys, like a lot of the things we see today, we wouldn't have seen if it weren't for Scott Hall and,
Nope.
and Kevin Nash and, X-Pac and all those guys. So it's really great to kind of see that. So
There's a very real possibility that if Scott Hall did not go to WCW when he did, that we might not have an AEW at all today.
no.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-mm.
they created a boom
I don't think so.
that
Yeah.
inspired a lot of people. And so,
Mhm.
who knows?
Yeah.
And maybe we wouldn't have even see a WWE today without that move. Like, there was so much that ultimately hinged on that move that it
Yeah.
was important.
I
He was important.
I think you wouldn't see NXT. Definitely. You
Mhm.
still see one Raw or whatever. You'd still see that. But you wouldn't see NXT. And you wouldn't see, I don't think that there would be, like, I don't think there would be TNA. Ring of Honor, yeah, there would be, but that's a little different though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So shout out to MSK showing the love.
yeah.
Obviously, they're big NWO and NXT and DX guys. Like, Spinner Fox does say, okay, AEW pissed me off too. They didn't do anything for Scott Hall on TV, only on social media, and Matt was going to do the Razor's Edge, but was stopped. Matt who?
Hardy? Probably?
Oh, Matt Hardy. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And
match
Spinner Fox
with
says,
Jeff.
I mean, Britt Baker with the Scott Hall attire, but that was it. One. Yeah, and I appreciated that too. Britt Baker with the Scott Hall attire. That's the second time she's worn Scott Hall attire, if I remember correctly. I believe right after the Sanction match, she had a very similar Scott Hall attire, but it was red and black,
Yeah.
and this was the white and black. Yeah, I loved it. I love those things. I'll say this in defense of AEW. They don't always need to piggyback off of everything. The idea that they got the Owen Hart legacy was already a little weird enough of like, oh, it looks like they've signed the Owen Hart legacy to their company. Like, they don't need to have everything. I do think that it probably would have been nice to have a slide like WWE does in memory of, that'd have been cool. Or, yeah, they didn't even, I don't remember them hearing it at all until the Britt Baker match when she came out and Excalibur said Britt Baker dressing up like the bad guy and Tony Schiavone saying, I'm glad you brought him up. Thoughts and prayers to Scott Hall.
Yeah.
At the time he'd already passed, and so it was a little, but like you could hear it was in Tony's throat.
Yeah.
Obviously Tony worked with him a lot,
Yeah.
So I don't want to knock AEW for not, because you know what, Scott Hall was never a part of them. He never claimed to want to be a part of them. He openly said he would never go there.
Yep.
He was asked directly in a couple of interviews I've heard where he said, I'm a WWE guy. I'm a Vince guy. You'll never see me in AEW. I wish them the best, though. So I don't want to harp on AEW for not. They did say something online, and that was nice. Britt did her thing, that was nice. They don't need to, as comes across sometimes, they don't need to try and be the end-all, be-all of all things wrestling always. He wasn't one of your guys. But...
No. But
also,
if we'd seen...
They didn't shy away from it either.
Yeah, but if we'd seen, like, the Bucks, but I'm actually thinking about, like, oh, I'm surprised Cole and Red Dragon didn't have anything kind of tribute-ish in their gear or whatnot. But definitely know if the Bucks had been on TV, they would have had something, because they've always, you know, because obviously with Bullet Club, they always have, said something. Or,
and Spinner Fox says, I don't mean, he's like, I mean, I don't call it piggybacking just to show respect in the wrestling world. And I get that too, but I will say that I wouldn't have hated it to see more. Like I said, I love the showing of love for Scott Hall. It wouldn't have bothered me to see more. But I'm just speaking in defense of them not... I wasn't mad at them for showing less. Yeah. And like Spinner Fox says, he paved the way to some of the talent there. Just saying, he paved the way for a lot of the talent there.
But also a lot of the talent there, he had nothing really to do with. I mean, obviously, someone like a Jericho probably could, those guys that have been around a while. But, like, like when you look at, I don't know, let me throw one out here. Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I was going to say Jungle Boy. It wasn't like he was trained by him or nothing. But I mean,
or anything. Yeah.
Either way, like, that's funny. Spinner Fox says, nah, don't defend AEW for this one, Marsh. Bash the fuck out of him. Yeah, he knows what I do here. I'll never be upset about the outpouring of love for these people, for these guys, for these talent. Obviously, we do this because of how much we love them to begin with.
Yeah.
At the same time, sometimes it's a dicey road, and I think politics plays a bigger role than it should. And sometimes, like, hey, maybe just staying out of the conversation is enough. And yeah, it'd have been nice to see more, but I'm not gonna knock him on this one for not. I'll tell you, I'd have been mad if they talked some shit on it. So it wasn't that important.
Yeah.
But
that would have been really disrespectful.
But and I'm glad that Tony felt comfortable saying what he said, and Excalibur brought it up, and Britt did her thing, and what are you gonna do? It's like there's clips of him. So and he never did anything with Ring of Honor. It would have been kind of cool though. What would have been cool, because we haven't seen him in a long time. Matter of fact, I was looking it up. I don't think I've seen anything, heard hair or high water, as they say, of in over a year. But Cody Hall, actually 2 years.
Well, no,
his
name had come up. His name had come up recently, because I know, didn't he go to rehab? And
I don't know. The last thing I found of him is that he was signed with MLW and then announced he left the company the next day. That's the last thing I found on him.
Yeah, I think he did, but he popped up somewhere. I want to say in the last year, or right before COVID happened.
That's what it was.
I
MLW.
could be wrong.
He right before COVID, he popped up in MLW, and then a day later they said that he was gone.
Oh.
And that's why I don't know what happened next. But I would say it would have been nice, especially for a one-off, if they just had a match with an open challenge, and out came Cody Hall in his Scott Hall gear and did the walk. And did the thing, and maybe give him a win, maybe don't. But it would have been nice. Could have been nice.
Yeah, it could have been, but that.
But either way,
hard to say.
Either way. He thinks he's the masked monster of Contra. I'd have to look at that, but I don't know. Either way, let's wrap it up. Let's get to last call, guys. Really cool of MSK to do that. But we'll be back next week. I'm going to be here on Wednesday for another episode 1. I'm trying to think, do we have big shows coming up? I think it's 2 weeks away before Mania, right?
Yeah, and then you guys might want to watch Rampage this week.
It's going to be on Rampage.
Well, I'm just curious about the Keith Lee thing. Because Keith Lee, it's very surprising that, one, he didn't win the ladder match. Okay, so they didn't hand him a win. And that was, okay. So you've got that. And I'm interested to see the fallout of what Hobbs and Starks are going to do. That'll be interesting. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's some other interesting things, but that one I'm curious about with Keith Lee, because Keith Lee, again, one of those signings where I'm like, what's going to happen with Keith
What's
Lee?
the deal?
Is it going to be like Lethal? And I think the way this match is going to work out will kind of seal that direction of which way we think Keith Lee is going to go. So I think that's a real important pivotal thing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sounds
Because
good
we
to
know
me.
he'll beat Max Caster. I like Max Caster. Don't get me wrong, but he'll beat him. But
Yeah.
what they choose to do with these others, that's going to
That's
set
gonna
that
be-
fate.
Okay.
Yeah, only because you've got one who's really hyped and everyone loves in the back, and you have another one that's fizzling away. So we'll see, and I'll let you guys decide who's who.
Yeah. And then Splinter Fox says Bear Country and Del Sol versus House of Black and Allen versus Butcher. I'm not interested in those.
Why are you feeding poor Fuego del Sol to the House of Black?
That's
The
funny.
guy's been
That's
through
funny.
so much, you know.
Yeah. But,
Oh, yeah.
all right,
But
guys.
also, yeah.
Go ahead.
But no, I was gonna say, wait, no, JR doesn't do commentary because I like that whole lights on, lights off, la la la.
Yeah.
That was great commentary. That was the
Yeah,
best.
that's fantastic.
Up your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. We'll be back here in the dive bar of the IWC next week for a brand new episode 1. Guys, that's the last call. Meg,
Here's
cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.